Mm.
I'm really excited about this one.
Okay, good.
You're like, okay, so what? And then what?
Yes. And then
And then what?
I like your mug.
Thanks.
It's nice. Looks like you look like a talk show host or something.
I had this with my partner. She got E, I got M. And after the split, I should have taken E. I don't know why I
Yeah.
got M, but I'll
Yeah.
probably exchange this with her because I really like her mug more than mine, of course. Ah, human mind that wants the opposite.
Yes.
So, what did you think about this one? Wow.
Um, very simple, as he states. I'm so curious about where our conversation will go because, of course, with sometimes with Osho and Tantra, there's not much to say, like on the surface. But then as we dive in, there's so much to say.
Have you have you had a chance to test one of these techniques?
I just read it this morning, but these are, these are things that I've done before, different ways. And I'm like, part of, I don't know if it's like Pisces or what, but part of me in reading some of the techniques, I'm like, yeah, that's how I always look at the sky. Like, you know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's
Can
times
you?
when I look and think, but usually, um, when people are like, do you see that? I just notice that the tendency is towards the simplicity, towards the ocean of what is. But yeah.
I love it. So let's try to dive in.
Yeah.
I love how you're like, thank God Melissa has lots of questions about
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
And we always care. No, we always get nowhere with my questions, which is so good. So I love them.
Right back
Thank
to ourselves. Yeah.
yeah. So in this new apartment where I sit, I have windows, and then literally I set the chair against the wall so I can look into the sky. And which is really cool because there's this flip that happens inside and it's unexplainable. I can never explain it, but I was really mad this morning because it was very cloudy and I was like, "Where is the sky? I can't even find a little mini
Hmm.
entrance." But when it's the cloudy, my mind is thinking, and what I was this contemplation about objects, the lines, the colors, the everything that our mind catches on in our environment is really how I understood, is stopping us from getting deeper into emptiness or into endlessness, or which sky offers all the time because there's
Hmm.
nothing to grasp on. And it reminded me on Marina's program. I really think you're going to love this. Eventually, she's still doing this in Greece, um, where she would put this just a plain paper, colored, basic color paper, red, yellow, blue, green, and the chair will sit in front of it and you're coming and she's just taping it on the wall and it's large enough so your periphery doesn't catch on too much, so it's a wall and then just a square of a color, and then you sit in front of it in silence, erected spine, normal sit on the wooden chair, nothing comfortable, very basic, and you stare, and then you stare as your mind starts thinking you're falling asleep, and then you wake up again, and then you just stare in it. I wish I knew this technique when I was on that program. And it reminded me, and I was like, wow, I recall just losing the periphery slowly when you stare into one spot,
Hmm.
which there's nowhere to go, nothing to grasp. So I tried it again, which is interesting because It's, when we look, when we catch on the air, and then suddenly our pupils just dilate and we just have a sense of just expansion inside the eye. So pressure disappears, and then suddenly you just take on larger space in your view, but you see nothing. All of
Mm-hmm.
that disappears, and then you literally don't blink and you're gone elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I love that state, that little mini glimpse of that state when you're gone elsewhere. So it reminded me on those techniques, which, I didn't even know they're techniques, right? So they're just simple in nature, that natural way of us disappearing. And all this to say, I was like, okay, well, imagine if you really practiced this. Imagine if you really took it as a practice and you intentionally, with a lot of attention, switched on and off between the world you're in and between the world inside of you. And, in Gaia, when you look at the channelers, there is a click that happens. I don't know if you know Lee Harris or the Sheila, Pleiadian channelers, or people that just switch. The eye just becomes big. They're not aware of what are they talking about, and something just changes the world that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
And this might be it. I don't know. I just find it very, very interesting, the technique, and that it's so simple to look into the sky and feel the endlessness and allow yourself to disappear into nothingness of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. He says, you become the mirror of what's in front of you. Like when a sad person enters the room, you become sad. Why does this happen? It's
Mm-hmm.
you're mirroring the energy. So when you approach vastness, the temptation is to, like he says, when I say look, be specific. I'm not saying think along with it. Just look, and in that looking, this is like a camera lens, the pupil and the eye and the ocular nerve, and it's meant to just receive. But we often attribute our senses as this external. In the beginning of this chapter, he says the senses are between the consciousness, the inner states, and the objects. And so we participate externally with the senses, with objects. We think we have to touch, we have to smell, we have to hear and listen. And we think it's this outward expression, but all of our senses are actually receptors, just meant to receive. And so we can flip, kind of like the funnel. We tip it over, and then all of a sudden it's going the other way, and our consciousness goes higher. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, too, in that nothingness, I'm reminded of, becoming the reed and letting the sound, letting the wind move through my vessel, through me, and then whatever sounds come out, whatever music comes forth, it's it's not for me to judge whether that's good or bad or whether that's necessary or right. It's interesting right now too because for whatever reason, like yesterday and today, I'm feeling this like this Aries kick where I'm like
I love it.
kind of aggravated. And then I have Jupiter transiting over my Chiron, so I'm like, oh, is that why this sickness is happening? I tripped and got hurt and my leg got cut up yesterday.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, can I still be a reed when I'm pissed off? Because the temptation is to say to myself, "Well, you shouldn't be whatever it is." And it's the truth of the moment is like, I don't know why this is happening, but it is. And
Yeah.
can I be empty as if looking into the well or looking into the sky, and whatever is moving through is just moving through. and we often think that we're on the bridge.
Mm.
It's like, but it's all moving through. It's all dynamic and changing and shifting.
The bridge
So,
too.
hmm yeah. And so I'm reminded, I can't speak to Chandler specifically, but I think you're pointing to something that you and I experience as well. Is often when I get to this state when I'm talking with you, I can feel like I forget kind of where I'm at. I'm not really aware of the objects in the room, and I forget that there's a bookshelf behind you, and it's just like this like tunnel in a way. Um, so it would be, I also was contemplating like how interesting or how frequently can I tap into this, because there's like a state, it's like I have this microphone, I have these headphones, I have my cozy coffee, I'm sitting in my chair the same way each time. So it's like
Ritual.
yeah, it's a ritual. It's like triggering this state, and then it's the allowance that comes afterward, and it's like how can I bring that with me into anything that can occur in life? Um, yeah, of course I aspire to that, but
S-
then it goes back to, when you have the thing, the desire shows up to have it elsewhere, to take it with you and to extend it. So it goes back to, and this is why I'm like channeling people that can channel. I have such admiration for their ability to just be completely present, because for me, the thought of astral traveling or channeling or any like advanced spiritual gift, I'm like, I just feel that I would just latch on so hard to that, and there's probably a reason why it hasn't come to me, right? Because
mm.
that exists. So yeah, there's a lot to
Mm.
say there.
Well, a couple of things. I want to come back to your tunnel vision that you said, because your body is learning, because you're coming back in the same exact position. Your body intelligence is learning how to sink right in faster into the space. And you know how he mentions the seed has a perfect, it needs to have a perfect environment. And then it's just a matter of
Hmm.
time. And then when it is the right time.
Hmm.
And this is not that you want it, but you have to create a perfect environment or environment in which your body learns right away how to sink in. So then you said, when I'm with you, I lose the periphery and then I'm just tunneled into it. And, I just want to compare how he explained this, like timeline just starts shrinking. The future is not there. Mind is not going there. The future is not in the past. I mean, the past, mind is not in the past. It's literally your whole mind comes in narrower, 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 narrower. And then it's just a matter of time when you switch from me to you, unless you're already doing it. And it sounds like you are already doing it when you tune into whatever that you no longer are worried about, stressed out about, or nothing to plan agenda, nor nothing to worry about, then the external expansion of consciousness or internal expansion of consciousness. So this outer versus inner, this waste versus taking, this giving versus taking, this object versus everything versus nothing, this grasping, growing, going for versus learning inside. And I just want to connect it to, for that inside to become our awareness, or for that, for consciousness to catch onto it. Or I'm sorry, let me just think. For there needs to be a need inside, uh aware need in which you can come back to, for it to come back for it. Okay. let me rephrase. I just lost my, literally, I just got lost in space. I love it. There must be a need as it's external for us to catch on that it's now internal. And for
Mm.
that need is that self-discovery that we are curious about, which I find during this podcast. It's like, okay, well, I see it outside. It's obvious to me. I'm grabbing on it. How can I replicate the same length or distance from that which I'm grabbing into inside of me? And when there is inside of me, I have a need to come back inside. So I wondered, what is your need when when we are in this ritualistic space, in this space, which is very familiar to the body? What is the need for the mind to, what is your inside need for you to lose what you see through senses and get inside? What is
Mm.
the need that you're getting inside that you're coming back to?
Yeah, I'm getting hooked on like the exploration of meaning, finding meaning, but it could also be just peace or stillness or connection. Like, how can it be one thing? I don't know. That's tricky.
Okay, let's dissect this. I think it's something is there. You know how we always have things to do to find meaning in, and they're always
Hmm.
different in outside of us world. How we always have to-do lists. Boom, I have to pay the bills, take care of the kids, eat. Everything is external. Is there an equally important need inside that you can come back and as a to-do list to do that invites, okay, let me rephrase. By the way, I love that I'm lost right now. It feels great to be lost because I'm onto something. I can sense it. You know how we come back into this space? Let me just speak about me. I think that's I'm the most familiar with my part. When I come back into the space, there's this tingling inside of me that I don't know what it is, but I'm familiar with.
Mm.
And it's a sensation that I have inside my body that familiarizes me with my inner world. So
Hmm.
I'm very aware of it because it had repeated itself many times when I entered into talking with you. And the sensation inside is just little butterflyish. I get too excited. But I'm getting excited because my mind is getting stimulated into this, what about you? What about you? What about you? So I'm aware that my mind is getting practice to come back into what are you feeling? Can you try this? Is there anything inside? Can you flip switch on and off? Is there the sensation? Are you aware of the differences between the worlds? And the more we get into this book, the more I'm getting butterflies inside. So my whole world inside is giving me the signal that I'm entering through some door. And that signal is clear. And the second one that showed up in the recent past is the recent couple of episodes we filmed is the smile beneath my cheekbones. I can actually feel as if I have a muscle there underneath
Hmm.
my bones. So my smile became deeper. And sometimes I smile without actually smiling. So when you were talking, I felt the bodily signal that I'm inside my body, underneath my cheekbones, not even the skin, underneath it. And this invites me to come back into me, these signals that I have inside. They are worth coming back as my, okay, how do I initiate this signal inside of me so I can come back through that door inside of me and start exploring who I am inside. All that when my eyes are open, while I see all the colors and all the movements inside the world, but rather than I'm totally living inside mine, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm.
Did I lose
Mm.
you or did
No,
you lose me? Okay.
no. Yeah, it's in a way we are like through free association, we are externalizing the process of opening up. So it's like this like yin and yang dance that's happening. And ultimately it feels like whatever is happening within you is delicate, and it is potentially, at least for me, it feels very feminine as well. It's like this receptivity. It's something that I cannot force to happen. I can't push to make it happen. Um, but it's not without our attempts to explain what's happening, explain our minds, unpack. Um, yeah, it's just interesting this dance and this play that happens. Um, hmm. Because it's different than just silence alone or vipassana. But maybe did I ask you, do you experience these states when you're in vipassana? Or are these states perhaps similar to like things that you've experienced through vipassana or meditation before?
I think Vipassana is one of these techniques, just one.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the only one or the one, right? It can be, but Vipassana is concentrated mind into
Mm-hmm.
the body, in which then your body loses the space. So if the body is the space and the mind is the time, how do you lose the time and space? So there was one moment out of 10 days in which I lost the space, meaning my body limits just dissolved and I was not no longer aware where my body was, where my hands, I literally thought my hands were here. I actually thought I felt them
Mm-hmm.
rather than they were in my lap. So, but the mind, right? So, but I didn't, I wasn't enlightened, if that makes sense. It sounds like you touch it and then you get enlightened because you realize that all of this is illusion, that you can actually, but it's not this, how I understand it. It's not you have to put a lot of practice and effort into controlling the mind with so much attention that it shrinks down to nothing. There's nothing else that your mind is buffering on or is trying to get to grasp to. So if you lose your time, mind, and your space, body, then time and space becomes one. And Vipassana, I only touched it for a second and I dissolved. And then I went to the teacher and I said, "Oh my God, it was such a blissful state." And she goes, "Be careful you're attaching. It's the desire." So,
Mm-hmm.
of course, I wasn't enlightened. I know the technique. I tried it. I touched something that I wasn't ever touching it in my sane sake life or, awake or daily. But I know I can get into that state with the full attention. But look, it takes so much effort and energy to unite the mind with to you to dissolve the time and space, the mind and the body. Um, it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of concentration. And that's, I think, why the practice is important because eventually your practice becomes your second nature. Eventually, if you sit in meditation, as he said, for 6 years and you're literally having no chaos, in the room you're in, the less chaos, the less chaos outside, the less chaos inside. So if you're having nothing to look into other than the sky or nature, your mind eventually is going to get bored on chewing the same bone, in which it's just going to stop. So 6 years later, or whatever, 60 lifetimes later of doing that, your mind is just going to dissolve itself. So the whole point of enlightenment, apparently, is just to cut the mind short.
Mm-hmm.
short to
Yeah.
nothing. So you can then realize that you're playing this mind game and this five senses bodily sensational game in which you're always tested to give up of and face the death of it.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then what?
And then you're not prepared to face the death, which is inevitable. So let's talk about it.
Hmm. Yeah, it's potentially not possible. Well, it feels like that to me
What?
to prepare for the death.
At least we can get familiar with it.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, familiarity. I I don't know what it is, but I feel so um so cocky about being a Pisces right now. I
What? Tell me. You think it's full of bullshit?
what?
Piscean nature? I love it. Bring it on.
No, I don't. What I'm saying is, oh, I'm not really sure what I'm saying, but what I'm feeling is, like the techniques to go deeper seem, yeah, I guess I'm potentially the critic who's saying like this is t far too simple, but not from a critical standpoint, actually, just from like a this is just really simple, and this and when the guru came to the guy who was sitting for 6 years on the veranda, and then he just laughed. I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, but he needed the 6 years for it to truly hit home, like how ridiculous the whole thing is, and we've experienced states, or we've experienced enough life to have these moments of getting the cosmic joke. Maybe even just for a moment. Just like that's the cockiness of Pisces that I feel. I'm like, we get the cosmic joke. Like we're we've been
By
through
nature.
it. Yeah. And also when I look at the sky, I'm already lost. The minute I look up into it, the minute I look at the ocean, I'm just like people have to bring me back to like thinking like, "Hey, Eric, where are you?" I'm like, "Oh, okay. Hi." So I just like I say cocky to kind of pick on myself a little bit, but what I'm pointing to is what if we already have the contemplation? What if we already have the meaninglessness? What if we already have feeling close to death? What if we already have, and then the other side of it is like that there's always temptation to be like, I'm not prepared enough, or I haven't done enough work, or I haven't, maybe I should sit for longer. Maybe I should stare at a wall for 10 years. But, more and more as I read these stories, I'm like, for them, maybe, for them, maybe that's what was needed. I don't feel any desire to do that. In fact, it's actually more, in a way, it's more meditative for me to have my dharma of 3 kids and living in Hawaii and whatever that comes with. I mean, we each have our own stories, like you said, like when you have bills to pay and you have mouths to feed and you have that. But I can find it's delicate. It's so delicate. But if I find that it's actually an invitation back to become the reed, to become just this vessel, because there's a temptation to deny that moment, to deny the dirtiness of life, to deny the bullshit. And it's like you you have a cosmic joke so you can go back to stillness. You laugh at the cosmic joke so that your nervous system can just chill out. But there's just like we're always right there where I'm sensing more and more that this idea that we have to get somewhere is just perpetuated into society and all the self-help books so that the cycle continues. And really it's just a matter of acceptance of what is. And it sounds trite. It sounds like, okay, yeah, but then it's like, really just ask, but then what? Like, what if you read all the books? What if you went to all the conferences? What if you achieved all your dreams? What if, what if your life was completely different? Like you had all the things that you want. And I think about this often. I'm like, for me now, it's very clear that nothing true would change.
So
In
good.
fact,
Yeah.
it just brings me closer to like the realization that in that moment, in the attempt to achieve the thing, and I go, okay, and then what? I'm like, oh, and then I'll find something else. Just naturally, I will find something else. And it might be better, bigger, faster, or it might be less, slower. It doesn't matter. I'm always just going to be traveling. And so it's like, what is? And in that what isness, life appears in its fullness right in front of me each time. And there's not much for me to do. And I think that's the risk and the dangerousness of enlightenment, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you feel like a menace to society because you don't fit in any category. You don't fit in the way you're supposed to live. You don't fit in how it's supposed to look. But it's completely intimate. It's completely intimate and it's so delicate to you. It doesn't matter the externalization of that thing and of how you approach it.
So good. And then you get tested.
Right?
And where you get tested over and over again. And then the scale just flips to this side a little bit more. I think this is where the patience and consistency of just you being you, coming back into self, this practice comes into way even more and take on larger space until suddenly there's no reaction to something that used to bother you back in the day, that used to
Yeah.
bother me back in the day. So I find it interesting to get tested. So, Gaffney reminded me of Gaffney. There is there's false you, okay? The upgraded false version to fit the societal needs, whatever, everything in this life is meant to be a program for whatever, not for self, right? So, and then there's you, and then we're going through exploration to reach to one or the whole. And then you realize the whole is not all because you're programmed. And then you come back to find your unique self, which is your individuation, your own talent, your own intellect. And then you start thinking on your own behalf. And then you start separating from the society, like you said, outcast or outlier, and you're like doubting everything. And then you reach into this total inner version of all is one, which is totally different from the previous version. You go, you get that perspective, and you still come back to this body, this self, which is now you can see the false self by yourself. You don't even need to react. The only difference now between this perspective is that you're reacting unbothered. You're not aroused anymore by the superficial things in life. You're not triggered. There is nothing to heal. And when you really collect, when I think and contemplate about all these different techniques, it's almost like every single one shows exactly that, the reaction to that, which used to be a big trigger or a catalyst to get you somewhere, in which you grasp and then you worked trauma past everything else. And but it's never here in the moment. The techniques are just bringing you here to teach you how to sit in nothing and allow all of this that is no longer real, no longer here, no longer part of you, to float up, bubble up, and disappear. To come, float up, bubble up, and disappear while you're sipping on a coffee and having a cigarette.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we get tested with this reaction until the scale flips, and then suddenly you just sit in this nirvana. Or okay, I think nirvana to me is even deeper state of emptiness and nothingness rather than just observation.
Hmm.
I think it's gonna take me a minute to get to that space, a minute, a large minute. But I am enjoying observing and realizing that I react differently on things that just a year ago triggered me tremendously. And I'm enjoying figuring out in which pattern and a wheel am I stuck and how can I play and dance with that which occurs in a moment. So I almost need to get bothered in order to know, am I really there or am I actually just thinking I'm there?
Mm.
Am I
Yeah.
really is the state in which is possible for me my nature, like breathing, being, just being, or
Hmm.
do I think I am there?
Hmm.
Because when we stop thinking, is that's what, like you said, the subtle truth just is the isness. It's like that you don't really think about much of the isness. We don't think about what our nature is, but the subtle settling of something so natural to you. So that intelligence is like, would I even know that I have evolved to this level of just doing that, not reacting?
Hmm. Hmm. And what's your moon again?
Libra
What house?
in a fifth house, creation, creativity, and sensuality.
Mm.
So that balance, that harmony, that tuning into a specific note, um,
Yeah.
that frequency, which is sensed through senses, through, I don't know. Yeah.
Hmm. Their play. Hmm.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
yours is Taurus,
Taurus. Yeah.
heavy in comfort, right?
Hmm.
Like comfortable in your big, giant, heavy body.
Yep. Yeah. And
Like strong in it.
yeah. And when I feel that I'm there, so to speak, or here, I truly feel immovable. And that's part of I can kind of sense the stubborn language of like,
No,
like the so what, like, and then what, and then what are you gonna do?
totally. You have it in you, and I like it when it brings up. I'm always like, okay, let's go. Because there's and there's the subtle fire,
Yeah.
subtle, heavy fire. Can the fire be heavy? That's what I'm getting from you. It's like you're into
Hmm.
pound it really hard and like flame that is
Hmm.
heavy.
Yeah.
I love it.
When I think of like personifying the astrology, of course, I'm appearing as personification, but if I like a caricature, it's like the fiery Aries rising, but the large body of the bull. But then this like Piscean, I don't know,
Totally.
like where does that show up?
My mom just asked, "Is Eric black?" And I said, "Oh my God, no, he's so white and he's such a fish." I said
Why did
on
she ask if
Serbian.
I'm black?
Yeah, because she never saw you. And I was like, no,
Oh,
he's so
okay.
white and he's gorgeous in his face. And I said, so soft. His eyes are fishy. You see the fish in
Mm,
him more than you in me because our eyes really are just fish. There's the ocean behind. But then you have this, sometimes this, it
Yeah.
comes as a horn. It's like, it literally, your horns show up for Aries. It's like they go and they just penetrate inside with this intensity. It's
Yeah.
like, let's get into the fight right now. But you almost like I can see the many layers of you that show up, which I
Mm.
think they're, so yeah, you're complex. You're intense and easy.
hmm Yeah. We all are so complex. I love
Totally.
astrology. It's such a good language.
And tool, really good. Okay, so
Mm.
I want
Sorry.
to talk about mammoths, fossils, and ice age.
Okay.
You probably have something to say on this, but the reason why I wanted to bring it up for the needs, which is in the beginning that I was mentioning, I found that really interesting to how do you discover the need inside that and really remove yourself from by default also programmed and very well learned skill how to find the need outside in the world. So in the beginning, he's really talking about the baby and the need for the mother. And if the mother is there, the need is also learned love rather than just learned food. So if
Mm.
the mother is feeding a child for a with the formula and not breastfeeding, the child will learn the need for food. But if the mother is breastfeeding, the child will learn the need for love first and then food, or vice versa. It will have two needs in which is going to aim to continue living for or to find the meaning in. So,
Mm.
uh, why I wanted to talk about mammoths is when the external world when you find the need in external world, your whole being is going to change. Your skeleton, your genetics. Watch, and I'm going to tell you why. It's so good. Your entire physiology is going to change, and also the way you're thinking. Your psychology, everything else changes when the need is out there. Mammoths, I don't know if you know, there's the area here in which they're called like Labrie pits, in which the mammoths back in Ice Age, a million years or so ago, were sinking into the mud, into the
hmm
oil muds back in California when he wasn't even LA. So archaeologists discovered it. It's literally in the center of the city. It is so mind-boggling because now you have archaeologists working on these bones that they have found and restructuring the entire mammals, and they're giant. And then there's an educational parts in which you learn why were they such a gigantic creatures and how did they become so small in the size of the elephant nowadays? What changed? How did their spine changed? How did their
hmm
like what are this called?
Oh,
The
tusks.
yes, why were they so much bigger than now? And then you look at the skeletons of back in the day tigers, back in the day birds,
hmm
before the
Everything was
ice age.
bigger.
Yeah. And
hmm
everything was bigger because the outside need for their genes to survive, mind you, these are unconscious. They don't have conscious, right? So these are just biological intelligences and genetics that is trying to survive on its own. So when the tectonic plates moved and the water took over, actually, they were separated. So what happened is that our continent separated from the African continent and blah blah blah. There was more water, which means in between, which means less food. So they had the genetics, intelligence had to adjust and make them smaller because there was less food to eat. Everything became smaller. And you're talking millennia worth of time for the intelligence to shrink down into a smaller creatures. So when there is no need outside, you're changing your biology. The intelligence inside of us is going to change as well. So then it made me think because I was talking to my mom and I was like, it made me think, can you believe these creatures, these intelligences, biological intelligences with no conscious, with no brain, also knew how to adapt to the environment that they're in without thinking. And we don't have thorns, we don't have poison, we don't have fast legs. We only have our consciousness. We only have our thinking. So our adaptation to the environment is through the way we know the world. We understand the world through the way that we learn the language to read through our eyes and hear and our senses. So our senses are very necessary to adapt to the world. That's why baby's gonna cry when hungry. Baby's gonna not cry if it doesn't know the mom's love. That's why when you look at the mother, and there's some reels online as well, the mother will talk that language through love to a child who doesn't even speak the language yet, but child will laugh and giggle, and you have seen this probably a lot and
Mhm.
experienced this as well. So when there is no outside world, what is there left inside? What is the need that can be discovered inside that can replace such an automatic need now for survival? Because this too will be gone. This too will disappear. And that's where we start contemplating the ending. That's where we start contemplating the depth. That's where we become familiar with language that carries from inside out of what is that? What can we give a meaning to? And getting more and more comfortable towards it rather than just thinking it's far away, it's not ours. It is very much ours by default. And I know I give you a longer so I give you a longer explanation of the external needs that are biological as well, but also as a conscious, sentient, conscious beings with the consciousness inside. I can't help but think that our whole life round of this 100 years of this life is literally invitation to come back in and figure that which makes us different, which makes us exceptionally different from any other mammals or any other being because we have a different tool for adaptation. So who knows where can this lead us to? And I wonder if even nothingness is the just next step. Emptiness or void in which we all have capacity to enter into. It's just one off.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it brings up a lot of questions. Like, of course, it's hard to have that conversation without having a basis of understanding of, we talk about meaning, but like to talk about meaning, we have to talk about the origin. And I appreciate that you're going back in history to pull up more of the potential meaning that's inherent, at least from a like evolutionary perspective, but like from a even greater time scale, it's like what is the point of this life? What is the point of human life or any life for that matter? Like there's a cosmological esoteric viewpoint that is like, you know, there is oneness which descended into form, light into matter or energy into matter, and the dispersion. And then there's like fallen angels, right? Los Angeles. Um, Satan, Satan was, or sorry, not Satan, Lucifer sat at the table of angels and said, but I want to experience more than just unity and more than just telekinesis and knowing everything all the time. I want to experience surprise and excitement and newness and challenge and difficulty. And that was the descent, the fallen angel. It's so interesting that you live there. Um, in
Why?
the city of the fallen
Fallen
angels.
angel.
um, and it's like the part of the big cosmic joke is that decide like that's in it's a story potentially, even if it's 100% truthful, historical, this actually happened. There's still a part of it that is we are connected to, in that we, through our consciousness, desire for the unexpected. It's just inherent in who we are. We can say that we would like things to be fleshed out and planned out. We would like to know when it's all going to happen and know when our death is going to be and know who we're going to fall in love with, all of these things. But that would that would spell the end of all of, I think that would destroy the whole thing very quickly. The knowing would kill us. The
Mhm.
surprise is what continues this evolutionary process. But we're going back to something that we already came from. We're going back into what we came out of. It's like the womb is our birth and the womb is our death in different forms, but we experience largely the same thing, just fractalized and shifted and just changed. We have a different perspective, whether it's time or space. All really is just for for what? We have to ask that question, like for what? Like why would I even be here? What am I supposed to experience, or what am I supposed to create? What am I supposed to be? And where do we go from here? Um, but when I go deep enough, when I ask these questions, I'm just brought back to like ultimately that there's a big, wide, endless expanse that I could use my senses and go and explore and try to gather information or resources or experiences and bring them back and start to hoard them
Uh-huh.
until one day all that I've accumulated clicks and then I let go. That must be it, right? That must be it. But what if I can just skip all that bullshit and just let go right now? I've accumulated too much. I've already
I
got
don't
it.
need anything else. All right, let's talk about this. Two things that showed up, they came up was, you know how bacteria is also intelligence,
Yeah.
and somehow it will birth a new form just because.
Hmm.
And there's no reason at all for it to exist. But it exists. It has a perfect condition on earth in our guts to exist, and it will birth itself anew. It will cross contaminate with other bacteria and it will become new. It has its own intelligence for no reason, but it's necessary for all of this to make sense. For earth to be, for water, for elements, for fire, for beings, for animals to eat each other, for trees to protect one another and dry out in the end. Somehow it's just necessary. I don't find it not necessary. I find it necessary. So when the black, what's it called? The black, what is that?
Like,
No, what is that epidemic? First pandemic, the Black Death happened
hmm
that killed all Europeans on the continent and ended with water. Bunch of people. It was just the disease or virus coming in that came from flesh. So I understand. I don't know. It came from dead bodies, but it created itself. Something made it. Something happened for it to be created. That's first thought. The second is if the universe is ever expanding, Benny, it needs its intelligence is expanding too. It's just reasonable to think that way. The third thought, if the sun is expanding, eventually life on Earth will not be possible. It will be hot. We will become a dead, dry planet. No water, all of it will evaporate as it expands, it comes closer to the earth. Life as a human will not be possible on earth, right? So if you really, it's just logical. It's like, I'm not really making any philosophy about this. It's just logical. And as sun reacts now, you can tell everything and everyone, everything with the earth reacts, including us too. So we are a unique configuration of intelligence that will change. It has to change. It has to move or away or from the old form. It has to, as everything else around me. It's like, it's hard for me to think. Everything that is alive is moving away from the previous version of themselves rather than what I kill, which is the cement or rock. That doesn't move. That doesn't move. It doesn't change. Like you take a look at pyramids. That's it. It's the same for a time. Like
Hmm.
the dead things don't move. Alive things move. But something inside of me is alive. And if I know that this body is not going to live forever, yet something inside of me feels alive, then you ask what's the meaning of life? The meaning of life is to continue itself until there is no more. So I can't tell that there's, to me, I can't tell that there's no reason for me to have a meaning in life because I too will end. But until I do, I have a reason to expand and evolve and change and move on. So move on. And how can I move on in this tiny little limited body other than just be curious and use my tool, which is one intelligence, use my senses, which is second intelligence, use this telepath, I don't know what the name for it is, this like transcendental movement inside, inner, outer, which I can play with and dance. So, can I dance in life until I have these tools to use? And can I use them? And I don't really know where I'm going. But, all of this is really, really, really funny. It's like, can I laugh? Can I cry? It's given to me. My dog is not crying and he's not laughing. I have the ability to do it. So I think you and I are talking about the same thing rather than I'm just so greedy to experience this whole of gifts that I have. And I'm so curious about it that yes, I don't want it to end. I want to use as much as possible. And I don't mean in the dead forms that are not alive. And that comes with
Hmm.
material form rather than something alive as an idea, something alive as another form that is providing me with some sort of layer in which I'm always tested to discover. So, what is the meaning of my inner life? Is a constant discovery. And
Hmm.
until universe expands, I cannot shrink. It doesn't make sense to shrink. Why would I shrink? I can't actually. It's the nature. Can you shrink? Even in nothingness.
There's paradox,
Uh-huh.
right? Yeah.
And
So,
why don't we cry on paradoxes rather than we always laugh?
well, is there a paradox that might make us cry? Maybe if it was, no, I don't think it's possible. That's a very interesting question.
Right?
Maybe we can laugh so hard that we cry.
Yeah. You cry laughing.
Yeah, because like what in paradox can you have grief for?
See, so more
This
questions
is a
I
good
ask, more
question.
fun I have, and less answers I have. How about we just continue asking questions and we have so much fun. We have fun with it because there's nowhere to go. And I think if this is just a small little part of us that we can use as a playground into it, let's see, once we trick this, where else can I go?
I love that you're advocating for Gemini. And
You're like,
I'm like, burn it all down.
burn it. I love it. I'm having so much fun because I'm using something that no other being has here on Earth while I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. Yeah. It's interesting how you and I, in so many ways, are saying the same thing, but finding much different ways to say it. And yeah, like how many more episodes are we just gonna be like, it's a paradox, it's a cosmic joke,
Many, many.
try to be still, but also participating in the dance. Like, it's like
So good.
yeah.
Until there's nothing else to say. But guess
Yeah, you
what?
keep
We have a
saying
lot
that,
to
but
say.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Ah,
As much as that sounds like that would be so okay, okay. So let's use this real quick. If I were judging like a process of using contemplation for means of deepening awareness, which could be like a path to enlightenment or whatever you want to throw a label on top of it, but it looks like from the outside that if we're not evolving towards silence or stillness or less words, that we're just spinning our wheels. We're kind of just like rehashing the same thing. Or I don't know. It's just like there's a little bit of a critical angle there.
of
But
course.
ultimately, yeah. But ultimately it's like we bring it up because it's tempting to serve this external version of what it's supposed to look like. But if we stay present with what is, then perhaps in 20 years we'll have 10-hour podcasts. Who knows what will happen and who knows how it will look. And ultimately, like until we open up to all possibilities and all potentialities. And I think this is where I think at least for me, I noticed like using history or evolution or whatever, it puts me in this box where I have to like frame and then critique and then like put the layers on of understanding. And for me, I get stuck in probabilities. I think probabilities are useful because it helps us to, what would I say, digest something that is by nature indigestible. Because we can only comprehend a 1% or less of what's really going on at any given time. Add into that, like our senses are only, just take the eyes, for example. The light spectrum that we can visibly see is just a fraction of the entire thing. The gamma rays, the X rays, all of it. So what we get overwhelmed and then we let go again. It's just like, here we are.
What's the point?
Thank you.
What's the point?
Finally, someone asks.
I love your critic. You know why? Because you're getting frustrated by something you can't explain, and it's already layering itself down as your nature. You're not a different person. You're not the same as to Eric 200 episodes ago. And I'm not saying this is all the credit. I'm saying something did
Yeah.
change and did, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
And the good news,
And it continues to change. Yeah.
yeah, and here's the best news. When the mind starts freaking out and critiquing it as, oh, this is such a bullshit,
Hmm.
it is it's a confirmation that you're on the right path. Go the
Yeah.
opposite way. And I
Mm.
think you know this as well. I think there's so much settled, co- I, to me, and I'll just speak to me. To me, These are a confirmations. These are somehow timed, magically, mysteriously, in which I'm able to relax because something that I felt majority, not majority, but a good part of it that I felt for so long, I couldn't find reflection anywhere as a confirmation that I'm not mad in my head, right? I'm not losing my sense of centeredness rather than the confirmation when it gets too true to me, to my expression of life, to my, to my, yeah, to my expression, to my understanding, I cannot stand it. Yesterday, I was reading it. I was so mad because I couldn't even finish the chapter. I was so mad. And I was like, I cannot believe this is true. Yet I knew it because it was confirmation to me. And I turned around and I started talking to my mom on English. This woman doesn't even speak English. And I was just la 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 la. She looked at me, trying to understand, no word. And I was like, did I just wait? And then I quickly came back and I was like, did I just tell you everything on English? Because I lost my mind for a second. Just that awareness was everything I needed actually.
Mm.
Because I couldn't stand the truth of it. That to me was, oh my God, I am right where I need to be.
This chapter or something else?
The previous chapter. I mean, I'm reading another book. Of course, I started this.
Oh, that
I
one.
could,
Yeah, yeah. No, I know. I'm like,
this one, this one.
you sent me a picture. You're like, maybe we could read this one. I'm like, yeah, if you
It's,
could help yourself from opening it.
mm, I'm parallel reading and it's so good. I have so
You're
many.
good. You're
And
fine.
then, I mean, we have so much to do. So yeah, 200,000 episodes later, I think we'll still have something else to say because we're playing a game. And we're playing a game while laughing. And in the world where no one laughs anymore, I desire everything opposite from it, just so that way I can really experience this life in less fear than what is given to me. And that also, just to say, coming closer to death, we are talking about taboo subjects that are so freaked out scary.
Hmm.
Sex, death, potentials, vastness, which mind, as he said, it's so limited. It only goes that much to what it sees. That's the limit. But can you push through the boundaries of what you see and what you feel in your body? Can you push through the time and push through the space in which you're feeling yourself and see how far you can go? That's very, really scary to go at the end of the universe.
Hmm. Yeah, or
If
either
it there
push
is dead,
or just, it seems like there's two experiences. You can push, which is useful, and then there's just the deep centering and
nature,
centering as much as you can. There's an explosion outward where it's like you can't. There's no more pushing. It's just like pff, being blown out.
getting into, yeah. But you see, these concepts are so, sometimes I find myself saying something I don't even understand. But the difference now and the difference before, I am not afraid of it.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of losing myself in it. I
Hmm.
laugh at it. I was like, oh, I went into the unknown. I went into crazy. Because that crazy means that I'm saying words that no longer make logical sense. That
Hmm.
is also allowed territory to enter into. Dare.
Yeah.
The difference is, are you fearful of it or fearless for it?
Hmm. Yeah, recently I've had a few friends find out through Carly that like I do this podcast, and they're like, "Oh my God, I didn't know you did a podcast. Like, send it to me." And I'm like, "Wha- I almost I almost want to say
No.
like it's
Yeah.
incoherent, but
So good.
here it is because you asked. I'm like, it's not gonna make sense to you, really. It
So
doesn't it doesn't appear like every podcast. It doesn't show, it doesn't try to fit, the structure or leading you anyway. And I was telling Carly this. I'm like, when I have struggled with you, like not, I don't want to say like struggled with you, but like when the communication is kind of chunky, and I was just reflecting to Carly, I'm like, it was when I was considering the audience that we may or may not have, and then trying to make sure that they would understand it. And so it was like times when I would say, "Oh, so for those who are listening and they might not know the story, here's the story." And then I could sense that you like some part of you like falls out of just being here.
Hmm.
And then it was a deep practice for me maybe in the past few months to just say, I kind of see what Melissa's bringing because when I show up with you and you are in what is and you're not concerned about who knows the background. It almost feels like there's inside jokes in a way. And I've grown up so sensitive to everyone else being included. I don't know why, but like that was just a tendency I have. And then to let go of that finally and be like, it's okay that this is just between us and that maybe no one knows what we're talking about for 10 minutes. It doesn't matter. Like, and just letting go of that and then finding when I let go of that, how much more connected that you and I are. It's no longer like this, like you and I are speaking really to everyone else. That's how most podcasts go. It's actually just you and I. And
Hmm.
whatever's between us, if it's meant for outside, then it will happen. If, it's just like the letting go of that process. So,
Yeah.
and just to say, yeah, thank you for your example of
Not giving a shit.
yeah, not giving a shit and truly contemplating like it when I don't frame it for an audience, then I'm not concerned about how it's going to be received. And I've heard different things on that with like authors or painters or musicians. Like if you're not creating your art for an audience, then who are you? Then it loses some of its ability to transmit a message. But I'm like, I've every time I've heard that, I'm like, I feel like this is bullshit. I feel like it has
Yes.
to just be purely for yourself, and it doesn't matter the audience.
That's then capitalism. The
Yeah.
actual creation is gift away. And something that okay, great topic. When you create and you're not selfish about it, you're creating it not to have it.
Hmm. Yeah.
There's a creation that is
Hmm.
almost truly artistic, which is altruistic,
Hmm.
unknowingly altruistic. But the moment you're in the in the how do you say it? The moment we say this is ours is the moment we control it and capitalize on it, and we want to use it as a tool to gain on someone else's. You're right. It becomes separate. It separates us. So if you cannot identify with that which creates, it's automatically altruistic and it's a gift for others. You're just, like you said earlier, a vehicle that it passes itself through.
Hmm. Yeah.
Then it passes itself through. But, there's also no agenda. So we agree not to have agenda whatsoever. And it works. And I thought about this
Hmm.
earlier, actually, while I was getting ready. And I was like, how is it possible to have such a deep, vast, I like to call it like deep, wide, and high as possible, and wide as possible, and deep as possible conversation with someone who can meet you at all levels, the whole full circle. And I was like, I'm lucky you are a Piscean nature that likes to float off, which of course is taboo as the delusion. So now you
Hmm.
and I are not alone in the illusion part of it, rather than illusion is the gift. You know how it's like it's so easy to find the fault in everything. That's the critic. But it's really hard to laugh at it. and still play with it and accept it that okay, it might be a faulty or whatever. It doesn't doesn't seem, feel, or is like that inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
so easy to find a fault. What you're looking for, a mind is gonna look for faultiness, and that's it's because it doesn't. It's not you. That's why the mind is time, the body is space, and that's why in the timeline, it always looks to what you did before in order to judge you what you're gonna do next. But it's
Right.
really having a hard time being in, and in this now there is no fault. It is so nothing spacious in which there's no one. It's so poetic. It's like in this one moment, you can write so much more about than in what the past is. Because when I start writing a biography, I could care less about where I was.
Yeah.
Literally, there's nothing. There's actually nothing new I say. It is so boring to me to go back in my past. It's like, who gives a shit? I don't. Why would you?
Mm-hmm.
What I do want is to enter into this floating up feeling, butterfly, bubbly, something that is actually happening in which I can just like try to taste it. It's like you know when you lick the salt, you feel the
Mm-hmm.
saltiness behind or the sweetness. I don't know which part of the tongue actually has the sweet versus salt, and it's on the opposite side. So if I'm licking the sweetness here, I cannot taste it until it gets here. So the temptation in between the two is where the juiciness is. It's like by the
Mm-hmm.
time it gets slowly up to my taste buds, then it's over. But I want this journey. I want this penetration. And I think this is where the anew arises. This is where the bacteria is actually becoming, this is the merge of, for emerge, for something anew
Mm-hmm.
to emerge. And I want to play in that field. To me, this is the meaning of life, playing into that unknown so fully, so tuned into it, so freely, so surrendering. I want to die in this. That's where the good poetry
Yeah.
is. And I want nothing with it. And I want all of me to enter into the nothing of it.
Yeah.
See? So I have no, what I said in that moment is what I would read. How
Mm-hmm.
funny.
Right.
And I would want to read what I'm saying later. It's like
Yeah.
it's there is a part of me that wants to learn from me. Huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Too selfish. Come on. You must be narcissistic as hell. Taboo, taboo, taboo. So many faults we find in ourselves and especially
Mm-hmm.
in other. And I think that's killing our potential.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. If I can offer a parallel experience, um, through dance and whatever else. So, like, I don't want to be cocky, but
B.
there's this play that's happening and it's coming up right now. And I think it has to do with all of these transits in Aries for me, still in the 12th house. So it's like this fire, this burning. It's like the death of the old, you know, and the potential of what's coming in the future. But part of that is like I am physically pretty gifted. Like I'm just fast and strong and I have good balance and I'm trying to bring my body online to all that is new and expanding in different angles and planes and unlocking movements I haven't been able to do because of like weightlifting in the past. And so I'm like really trying to just expand as much as possible. And I'm becoming more athletic, potentially not the most athletic I've been in my life, but it's like I have more movement ability. I have less pain in my body. I'm like becoming free. And it's like this is one of my strongest desires is to be physically capable to do so many different things, but also like just the play of trying something new and potentially failing at it and learning and expanding and growing in that way. It's so fun for me. And what I'm noticing, I'm hearing, and I have this like I've talked to you about like this little bit of telekinesis where I can like hear emerging thoughts, or I can hear like people's subconscious or whatever it is. And I'm starting to, but I'm also like aware maybe this is my own projection, my own critical voice. And as I'm in dance, like when I when I really feel the music, I just like I'm big. Um I'm moving really fast. I'm jumping really high. I'm doing like I just feel like amazing. And I started playing ultimate frisbee in the neighborhood at the park. And this was yesterday, and I'm like sensing that people are annoyed that I'm there because I cannot help but like try to get every single thing, and I'm gonna go full speed, and I'm gonna jump as high as I can. And there's it's a little bit more relaxed. Like some of the people are older, it's a little bit more relaxed, and I can kind of sense they're like, we're trying to have a good time here, and we don't
There's no
want to compete
competition.
at this level. Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm at this point where I'm like, I told Carly it last night. I'm like, I think it'd be hilarious. And I'm just going to keep going. I think it'd be so funny to tell this story that I got kicked out of the ultimate frisbee like league or whatever, just because I'm
It's
too
so good.
competitive. Because for so long, I've wanted to fit in. I've wanted to like gel really well with people to make everyone happy. And I can hear myself saying this with the kids lately, like, oh, I just want everyone to be happy. And immediately after I say it, I'm like, why am I saying that? Like,
Hmm.
that's impossible. And I don't, that's not really what I want. It's just like so these patterns are emerging and showing up. And ultimately, when I contemplate what I actually want for myself, it's like, what I want for myself is the fullest expression of who I am in
Hmm.
that moment of competition or of play or of dance. It is big and it's loud and it's Aries in that way. Like it's gonna get a lot of attention because I'm putting myself out there. And instead of being uncomfortable with it, learning how to be uncomfortable potentially and also just continue. Just
Hmm.
just to keep going. And I think that parallel is in the creative expression, whether it's writing or speaking or art, in that you put yourself out there. When you do it with the most freedom possible, it's you're going to immediately feel, or at some point, I guess, you will feel the voice of criticism coming back to you, whether it's external or internal. And it's important not to let that voice diminish the potential of your work, because there's so much in the expression itself that will unlock for you and for others. And part of that, what I'm noticing is part of the unlocking is like these old stories. Like this isn't like you're a dad of three going on four, you're in your mid 30s. You're not supposed to move like that anymore. Like you're gonna get injured. This isn't how we play. This isn't like you need to calm down. You're not in your 20s anymore. Like all of these tropes that we carry with us that ultimately are limiting us. So it's about reaching the potential of our limitations and going beyond. And here I am on the other side. Earlier, I was like, "What's the point? What, like, why are we doing anything?" And here I am, like, "Let's go, like, let's push." Yeah.
But you see, two things. If you didn't have a freedom, if you did not allow yourself to be free in your expression and you minimized it to tune into,
Okay. I gotta go soon.
okay, how much more?
I have 1 minute. Sorry.
Okay, we can go. But I love that.
So sorry.
Okay, bye.
Yeah,
Ciao.
myself.
Ciao, ciao.